The hardest time of my life. That's yeah. It may have been got a job at a place where there was a lot of drugs, and I was profoundly addicted to cocaine before I left.
How long were
Yeah,
you addicted?
I did a hard 6 months there at the end,
And
just alone, like
what,
in my basement
in your
at
basement?
3 in the morning.
Were you
Yeah.
living with somebody?
Yes, I was with
Yeah.
my ex
And
fiance. No, didn't have a clue. I was very good at hiding that.
you moved to Florida with her.
Yes,
You guys were engaged to be married.
that's true.
And then you said kind of tell us what happened.
Well, one day I just came home from work and she started crying and said she did not want to get married. And furthermore, she did not want to be with me anymore. And that, like, people say there's signs that came completely out of the blue for me. And that kind of rocked my world. And we had 3 months left on our lease and we decided to live together for the rest of that time. It was an odd time.
Did you retreat into any sort of substance to deal with it then?
I did, actually. I had, for my birthday, I'd gotten a little cocaine to treat myself a couple months before we broke up. And then once that was gone, I started hanging out with this guy. So,
Gotcha.
see, here's the thing that addiction will do to you. I wasn't buying food because I was ashamed of being poor. And then I was buying cocaine.
And that is way more expensive than food.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what it's like if you've done a lot of cocaine and that wears off? And is that just a profound sadness?
It is. It is intense.
Yeah.
When I was back in Carbondale, how I dealt with that was I just smoked very, very high grade marijuana 24 hours a day.
You had some. Hey, man. All right, calm down, Brock.
I would wake up and hit the bong. I would hit the bong like 8 strong times to try to get to sleep after partying all night.
Finally came out, and we had words. I picked a fight with you.
Yeah, you kind of kept coming at me, and then
and then you shoved me into the door, and the glass broke.
Yeah,
and it was. And then the girl I was dating drove over to get me, and then I went back to where she lived, and I collapsed on the blacktop. And I was just so despondent, just weeping. It was so fucking dramatic. Perfect for fucking summer theater, man.
Yeah, you got to have some drama on and off.
That's right. That's right. So we, then the next day I came home and you were sitting on the couch and I walked in, we just looked at each other and we both at almost at the same time said, "I'm sorry." And then we hugged and stuff. So. Yeah,
I was not super kind to her after we left, and she wanted to continue this long distance relationship and I was in no shape to do that. Our phone conversations, in retrospect, looking back, I was being rude to try to push her away in our phone conversations.
You were just trying to get out of it.
It was not fair. She was a super nice girl and
Gotcha. Okay. So you guys broke up. Then you met another woman when you were on tour.
Yes.
And
she was playing my son.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
What?
She played Tiny Tim and I was Bob Cratchit.
Oh, yes. Right, of course. Yeah. That's right, because the girl I dated that summer, we came to see you guys after we'd been out late that night and so hungover. You'll start to get
at the Masonic Temple in Cleveland.
Barry Bonds broke the home run record. I looked up and I was like, "Holy shit, he just broke the record." And I looked down and Michael was being kicked out of the bar.
Yeah. It was so hard to take in because she was almost all the time we're like best friends, we're cracking jokes, and then just to not recognize her. Suddenly it was very off-putting. Complete.
Wow. So did that kind of bring you into another kind of depression?
Yeah, that kind of that hit me hard there. And then she wanted to stay on my insurance.
Oh.
Yeah. That gave me a little piece of, I enjoyed telling her that no, that's not going to. So
gotcha.
I got that little bit of a parting shot. I had reasons to leave, but I mean, I didn't operate as a single man might do at that point. I just had zero confidence in myself, uh,
Was
in
there
the
a lot
idea
of,
that anyone would want me at that point.
when you say zero confidence, like self-loathing too?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I must be just, worth absolutely nothing.
When you would have those thoughts, what would you do to try to get those out of your head?
That's probably something I should have done, but I just kind of reveled
Oh,
in them at the
you
time.
reveled in them. Okay. Date Allison for a while. Then you guys get married in
Yes.
Chicago, still living in
Yes.
Chicago.
Mhm.
And then how long after you guys got married did you have the issue with your back?
Well, I'd had intermittent issues with my back, but it was the last one that really took me down was about a year and a half after we were married.
And what happened?
I'd injured my back at work years before, and then it would just kind of crop up once or twice a year, take me out for a while. And this time, and they would send me to the same clinic every time, and they'd always say, take the rest of the day off, do 5 things of PT over the next couple of weeks, go back to work, limited work tomorrow. They would say the same thing every time, and my back just kept going out. And then this time, the woman's like, no, we need to do something different. This is not right. I'm going to send you to these people. They're going to suggest a course of treatment. And yeah, Whole Foods wanted a second opinion, and I wanted to not have my back go out twice a year. So,
okay. And how long were you out of work because of your back?
6 months, and all the while, Whole Foods was refusing to pay me.
So, how did you do it? Well, how did you feel during that time?
It was awful. I mean, I knew I couldn't work. I knew my back was never going to get better if I didn't seek different treatment. I did get different treatment at that time, luckily. At the
medical treatment,
yeah,
I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What did you do to while away the days? I find myself when I always think, oh God, I just would love a day to do nothing. I don't do well with doing nothing. It lets my head starts to go. I start to get very anxious. I start to get really down on myself. I start to really self-loathe. I start to say like, well, you're fucking worthless, whatever. So having to not be able to work day after day, how did you deal with that?
Positive ways. I would take shuffling walks around the neighborhood because my back would start to loosen up and feel okay if I was able to walk for some distance. I would try to do that, get out and keep moving. I watched a lot of TV. I watched the baseball, Ken Burns baseball, a couple times.
Yeah.
And then I started doing drugs.
Okay. What do you mean?
I mean, that's when I found my major cocaine hookup in Chicago.
Oh, so you were doing cocaine when you were out of work.
Yeah.
Now, going back to what we talked about before, were you having to smoke a lot to go to sleep?
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I would just stop, and then I would relax. I was also. I was on prescribed benzos and painkillers at that point.
Did those help you sleep?
Yes. Yeah, my brain didn't really let me realize this was a thing for a while. You know, it kind of throws up those blocks, so you don't realize how deep you are in, and then till it's real deep, and then you say, "Oh, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just not going to do it today. I take the day off." And then suddenly it's 11 p.m. and yeah, you're having something delivered and going all over again.
Did you feel depressed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was also a relief to get away from a ready supply of cocaine, though.
Okay. Yes. Have you, since you've been in Fort Wayne, run into some drugs again?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to talk about that, or would you rather not?
No, I can.
Okay. Well, tell us what that means. Like, where did that lead you?
I found out that I'd always been curious about the dark web, of course, and I'd heard of Silk Road, and I'm like, oh, that's just gone. So, but I looked into it, and guess what? It's not gone. There are lots of replacements.
Okay.
So ended up getting into that and just the novelty of it. I got a couple things here and there.
What
It
do you
was
mean
fine.
getting into that? You mean like getting stuff sent to you?
Yes, and that which is not great.
This is cocaine?
It's some of it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And were you telling anybody about it?
No, absolutely no one knew about this. I received cocaine, uh, Molly, acid. Yeah,
Yeah.
the first things I got. Yeah.
Would you
Oh,
do
some really
Molly?
good weed too.
Would you do Molly like around the house or like
I
or
would do just micro doses of things. That
okay.
was kind of into that.
Yeah.
With most of the harder stuff, I would do a microdose and you just have a sunnier day. That was it.
Would you find once that went away, would you find the same sadness as when you were doing a lot of it, or was it kind of more
No,
balanced?
no, it was more balanced that way.
Did you feel isolated and alone when you were doing that?
Oh yeah,
Did
and
you?
I literally did isolate myself. Yeah.
What?
And
What? Like how?
well, I wasn't sleeping in like our bedroom at that point. I was sleeping in my office, and so it was easy to just be in here and do that, or go down in the basement and do that.
And nobody had any idea.
No, no, yeah. I had my tonsils out. It didn't go great. I ended up in the
To
ER.
say the least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I ended up in the ER, like projectile vomiting blood.
Yeah.
That
And
was
then you
awful.
got.
And then
Did you get inhale your own
I,
blood?
yeah, I aspirated, and I got aspiration pneumonia, and I got pleurisy. Which, if you don't know what pleurisy is, it's an aggravation of the sac that surrounds your lungs. So basically, you can't breathe without extreme pain. And they had me on OxyContin already, and so they just kept giving me that, increased the dose, and I was using it as prescribed when they told me to do it. And then the pain held on a little longer because I'd had to have recauterization in my throat,
Yeah.
and then of course the pleurisy. And then the doctor stopped prescribing it for me, and I got sick.
Like sick? Do you mean like dope
I
sick?
got dope sick. Yeah,
What is that? What is that? What is that?
it's awful. Can't you get like sweats and I've had sweats. People have had the flu. They've had sweats. This was not that. Like I woke up one time and took my sweatpants off, and they made an audible noise when I dropped them on the floor because they were so soaked in sweat. And I was so sick, I found some painkillers. And then I was able to find some painkillers through the dark web. So I would start to get those in. And then those got to be so expensive that I figure, why not just go to the root? I get some heroin and I'll take just the tiniest bit. I'll make my own pain pills. Well, I would, get more of it. The way it works, you tell yourself, oh, this is going to be it. You're going to slow down, get a little bit more to try to wean off. And then you end up going through it and you panic and you have to get more. So I was getting like a few shipments a week.
To your house?
Yes. Well, actually, no. I ended up getting a P.O. box.
Okay. And when you were not sick, when you were high, did you feel like you didn't have any problems, or is
It did help that, yeah.
Yeah.
I would smoke before going to bed. I would smoke to go to bed. Then wake up in the middle of the night, smoke a little more. And I ended up smoking about 7 to 9 points of heroin in one day.
is that a lot? Sorry if that's a stupid question.
That's almost a gram,
Okay.
which was a lot.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I do not suggest this to anyone. You take precautions and hiding your IP and all that, hiding your location, and you have to get a special browser. It was the Onion browser, and you find links that are good links, and then you have to write stuff down because you'll get fake links that'll send you to other places. So you have to make sure you get a good one and then write down as many as you can. I memorized them, and they were super long and alphanumeric weird shit.
I
used to rattle them off.
You can just rattle them off. Okay.
I used to, but I don't. I made myself forget them. But it works on an escrow basis. You transfer Bitcoins into your account, and it's held in escrow until you actually receive it and release the funds. So you don't get ripped off. And it's a review process too, so people know who's selling good stuff, and
like
it works out really
Amazon,
well.
like people leave reviews. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's like, so there'd be like, if somebody ripped people off, you would just get lower reviews.
Yeah, no one would buy it. No one. Yeah. I was already off actually at that point, and I was in deep withdrawals, and I was so depressed. I can't even explain it, how depressed I was. So I would go to the post office to expect to get my stuff, and there, and like the third day that it wasn't there, I remember driving home and considering veering off and hitting a tree so I could go to the hospital and stop feeling like that.
Wow.
And then it got so bad that I was kind of convinced that if I went to the right doctor, they would understand and they would help me kill myself. Yeah, I was so depressed. I could hardly move, and I couldn't sleep. I was starting. You don't sleep, and you start to go a little psycho. And I really thought that my depression was such that they would agree with me that I shouldn't be living anymore.
Really?
That's where I was.
You were prescribed by a doctor OxyContin.
Yes.
And you took it as prescribed.
Yep.
And then he said, "Okay, you're good on that." And then
no weaning off, nothing like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I got very sick.
Okay. Were you able to talk to anybody about it?
No. Well, about the depression, yeah, but not of course what was really going on. I was seeing a therapist frequently. I was going to my doctor all the time. They were trying to figure out what was going on with my brain and why I would just be, racked with sobs and bawling my eyes out multiple times a day.
But they had no idea you were doing any of these drugs?
No.
Okay. Ultimately, that trauma, that deep sadness is what led to the drugs.
Yeah, I was trying to cover it up, trying to push it further down and not think about it. And I put him in his high chair with some lunch, and then I sat around the corner watching him, but I didn't want him to see me bawling like that, and I had to call my in-laws to come over and watch my son so I could, huddle on the floor, racking sobs and bawling my eyes out. And it didn't get any better the next day. I took a bath trying to relieve my restless legs, see if I could get some rest. Nothing was working. And then I texted my therapist and admitted to her what was going on. And she suggested I go to the hospital. Went to the behavioral health hospital. They said, go to the emergency room. I went to the emergency room. I said, I'm a heroin addict. They check me through there. They make me sit in this uncomfortable chair for 3 hours. Multiple people come in and interview me. They give me drug tests. I beg for something to help with the symptoms. They finally give me something that was not really, helping. But then I was checked into a secured ward, behavioral health facility.
Did you have suicidal thoughts when you were there?
Somewhat, but not real aspirations.
Yeah.
Just, I'm down this far.
Yeah.
I don't think my life's going to be okay again.
Were you able to see your son?
I was, yes.
Good.
She did bring him in to visit me twice.
Okay. And he was he excited to see you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you still feel that shame then?
Oh, God, yeah. In every meeting, and it shook like this the first day, and then every day it was a little less. And, they're like, we've been there. We know what that's about. For once I got my 30-day chip, I figured out I hadn't been clean for that long since I was 18 and had mono.
Wow.